Buenos Dias Gunners Collective. Back at it, you already know. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Here's another one. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. She said, what? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. She's a torta with some bad habits. Bye-ya, 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 ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Now I'm so high and I'm so fly. Oh, wait, that's that's the jam. For those of you that don't know, that's Roscoe from California. Now, smooth sailing. As you can tell by that thumbnail right there, we're about to get into it, right? The Eastside Hoods, the Sanjo, from the east side of San Jose. Now, the east side of San Jose is notorious, man. Anyone who's been locked up from Northern California, they've ran into some homeboys from San Jose. And I've always said, man, the homeboys from San Jose demand their respect. They command their respect. And they get that. They got that coming. You know, San Jose has a lengthy history of producing some of the hardest norteños ever to walk the calles. You know, some real ones. You know, you think about older barrios. You think about San Fran Michon. You know, the Salad Bowl, the whole Salad Bowl area. All the way from the Fruit Stand Gang to the Semsters, Las Casitas. You know, all these different groups and gangs. You know, old school Oakland. You know, we can go deep east. You know, we can go to Jingletown. We could talk about a lot of older barrios in Northern California, but there's one barrio to me that stands out amongst the rest, you know, and that's the East Side Hoods out of the east side of San Jose. And the reason they stand out to me is because I know they were a group or gang that was actually started or had a big group within the California Youth Authority system. And I did a lot of time with a lot of good homeboys from East Side Hoods. And they moved differently. They were very instrumental in a lot of the politics that got played in YA when it came to the northern side up north in Northern California. There was a lot of things that they were involved in, and they pushed that hand heavy. They pushed the line. So I remember first time hearing about East Side Hoods, man. I was with a couple homeboys from Sanjo in the CYA system. And, you know, San Jose's always had that respect. They've just always had that coming. You know, there was a lot of people that envied them or a lot of people that hated on them just based on San Jose's a bigger city that's more well-known from Northern California than most. But I always took cool with them. You know, I always took their side on things because I understood that even though they were banging city vida, that city life, they absolutely pushed that northern cause to the fullest. And that's what it was all about, you know, to me. So it didn't matter what city you were from, man. As long as you pushed that same rock, we were going to push it together and get it up over that hill, you know? Now, these vatos from Sanjo, I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat nothing to you or add preservatives. I'm going to keep it real. A lot of the vatos at the time, you know, moved differently. Let's just say that. They didn't have no love or no respect for anyone else other than the San Jose area, you know, when I was in the Youth Authority. And that was because, not that they felt that they were bigger and badder and better than everyone else. It's because they came from different types of streets. They came from a whole different surrounding. They came from really going out there and getting it. And, you know, a lot of the guys from the Central Valle, we come from smaller cities, smaller towns, the 209 area. You know, we pushed definitely. But they were on a whole different level. You know, they were leading the way and we were marching to the beat. Now, upon doing time, I ran into a lot of homeboys from Sanjo, from the West Side Mob to Barrio Horseshoe. I ran into vatos from Palmas, vatos from Monteban. I mean, just so many different hoods and cliques because San Jose has always had a lot of different barrios. You know, you'll hear some of the more well-known ones like Horseshoe and the Mob and, of course, Palmas. But there's so many more. Barrio Norte homeboys, Northside Sanjo, Barrio Mas Locos. I mean, there was so many that I ran into, and it seemed like everybody from Sanjo wiggled the same way. The mobsters were a little bit different. They had their own thing going on. They pushed mob heavy. But everybody else was pushing that Norte line really strong. Well, I happened to run into some vatos from a fucking group or a gang that actually is real notorious because not only did they set the standard for a lot of politics in the Youth Authority, but they actually started, or the rumor is that they started in the Youth Authority. I'm here to dispel any rumors and keep it real. But it's a group and a gang called the East Side Hoods because the boys in the hood are always hard, right? They're always hard, homie. The East Side Hoods, the Hoodsters, right? And they seemed at the time in the early 90s to have the largest group of homeboys from Sanjo within the system, in the Youth Authority system. I don't know if they all got caught up together and they just went in there deep. But they were always close, and there was a lot of them. They were pushing a line. They actually were instrumental in starting a thing called City Vida. And I've spoken on it in the past. I'm going to reiterate it a little bit here for those of you that don't know. At one point in time in the early 90s, there was civil war within the Norteño faction in the Youth Authority. there was not necessarily hands-on. It wasn't a hands-on policy, but there was discrepancies and differences. And vatos had their own ranflas based on where you were from. The geographical area up north did, for once, split apart, right? You always think the norteños, and you hear it all the time, oh, they all come together for power, and they come together because they're being oppressed by the southern side, or they come together because homeboys are supposed to do that. But that wasn't the case, man. You know, it switched up. When I got locked up, I went immediately down south, and we were. No matter where you were from, or depending upon where you were from, we all stuck together. We were all one juggernaut, homie. We were all one group, and we moved as such. We needed each and every homeboy. You know, there was so many riots and melees and battery packings and stabbings and things that were going on that we couldn't afford to lose a homeboy. When we did lose one, when someone fell off or they backed up or they decided for some reason that they were going to go the Christ way, right? Or whatever the case may be, man, it hurt. It really hurt. You know, when the Bulldogs split from us, it really hurt. Because we lost soldados, we lost homeboys, confidants, people that we could depend on. You're only as strong as your weakest link, and if people are falling off, the link is just getting winky and winky, right? Straight up. And I ain't winking. I'm just saying it was getting ugly. But when I went up north in Northern California, it was a different movement. You know, homeboys started to split depending upon your geographical area and where you were from. There was a thing called City Vida and a thing called Fameros. Now, I thought we were all farmers from up north. I mean, I figured we all rocked the Huelga bird. It was all Norte 14 XIVs and X4s. Oh my. But there became a thing where it was XIV against 14. It happened after the Bulldogs split. When the Bulldogs split, you needed to understand that there was a lot of Bulldogs still rocking as norteños, or confused, or didn't want to lean one way or the other. There was a lot of Bulldogs that still had animosity towards the South, so they weren't going to kick it. And then there was a lot of Bulldogs that were just perro chatos, and they were going to kick it over there with whoever their people were kicking it with at that time. It gravitated slowly and surely to the fucking Southerners and the Bulldogs having a lightweight, not alliance, but truce, right? They weren't tripping on each other. The Southerners weren't sweating them anyways. They had so many numbers. They took the perro chatos in and was like, hey, as long as there's no beef between us, homes, and we are all going against that other side, being the norteños, it was all good, right? That's when the City Vida thing started. See, it happens in groups, man. When people are trying to lead and you're not trying to hear them, people start to formulate their own plots and plans, and they want to do their own thing. And that's what happened with City Vida and Fameros. It seemed like everybody from the Valle, from Tulare County, Kings County, Merced County, Stanislaus County, all that, homie, were claiming Fameros because we came from the Valles, the farmlands. So we were considered Famero 14ers. That's just how it was. And then all the homies from Oakland and Frisco and Sanjo and that, right? They considered themselves City Vida. They came from the bigger cities, you know, the cities, San Fran, Oakland, all that. But the ones that were leading the group was a gang called the Eastside Hoods. Now, rumor has it that they started in the Youth Authority. I heard that many times. And I don't know that to be true or not. You know, I just know that every homeboy that I ran into from the Eastside Hoods was about that business. They were about that. And I'm going to tell you a little story how the Eastside Hoods got off. Just that group with the Perro Chatos and Carl Holton. So when I pulled up to Carl Holton, I was on the last leg of my time. You know, it was already, I had already put in my work. I'd already did my dirt. You know, I'd been in the Youth Authority now to almost 4 years. So it was time, actually 5. It was actually time to kind of mellow out and relax. Now, if the shit came my way, you know, it's YA, it's prison, it's locked up. You know, you got to do what you got to do. But at the end of the day, this was more of a program facility. Everybody that was there was getting out. Nobody was doing all day. Everybody was just trying to do their little programs that they gave me. Hey, shoot, guard, shoot them programs. So I can knock them out so I can get the fuck up out and start my journey as a norteño, start my career, really, on the calles. So I get there and I see there's a lot of homeboys from San Jose. San Jose was the deepest carro, the deepest ranfla there, you know. There was homeboys from everywhere in San Jose, but there was one group that was more, that stood out from the rest, and that was the Eastside Hoods. There was about 20 of them there, right? And I remember thinking to myself, damn, because you were used to seeing a lot of Bulldogs. There was a lot of Fresno Bulldogs, but they were broken up into cliques. You know, you had the East Side, the West Side, North Side, Pleasant Street. Of course, you had Callaway, you had Bond, you know, you had Lewis Street. You had all these different cliques. And of course, the Bulldogs all came together. If you were a Bulldog, you were a Bulldog. And in Sanjo, it wasn't like that. You know, everyone claimed San Jose but their own hood, their own barrio, and represented it smoothly. These vatos were all one. It was one gang. And I remember saying, damn, that'd be like me having 20 homeboys. Shit, we'd be moving smooth with a purpose around this camp. And believe me, they took the initiative to do that. like I said, they are the ones that were pushing that hard line of City Vida and Fameros. And there was a lot of turmoil. So when we got this shit together, the City Vida and Fameros, and finally decided, we had juntas all over the compas, and decided, hey, we needed to let that shit go. You know, there was some dictation of Wila that came from prison that told us, hey, what the fuck are you guys doing? You guys are acting like knacks and little kids, J-cats. You need to let that stuff go and push the hard line for the people, for the gente. Even then, we were being told to eradicate our enemies and to get off. Even then, we were told to come together for canalismo and embracement and education. All those things were being instilled as a youngster, and I was taking heed to them, and a lot of people were. So we decided that for no other reason, we were going to let that go. Like I said, it was a blemish in the Norteño past, in the history, something that happened, a lightweight civil war. But to be honest, totally honest with you and real, I never seen anything come of it, man. I never seen anyone get hands put on them or get packed out or plaqueated. It just didn't happen. Homies weren't tripping that heavy. It was more lightweight, fucking like disrespect and a lightweight just hate. So along come the hoodsters, right? They needed something else to put their hands into. They needed to lead the way by different reasonings. And one was going to be to get off on the Fresno boys, on the Bulldogs. So I remember that day in the school area. You know, usually we would leave out of our compas early in the morning. We would go to the school area, and then we would come back at lunchtime to our compas, individual compas, get down, eat our lunch, and then go back for afternoon school, those of us that had it. And the school area was just like a typical high school. You know, you'd get there, we'd all walk, you'd see all the different compas, people walking, you'd click up with your homeboys that you knew from different places. And a lot of the homeboys you'd see, you didn't even know. You just be like, what's up, gana, right? And that was it. Southerners were doing the same things. They would group together even more because there was less of them. And the Bulldogs had their little groups. At this time, like I said, it was a program facility. There was animosity. There was a little tension. But no one really took the initiative to kick it off until the hoodsters decided to handle their shit. Sanjo in a major way, right? Sharksteros. Now, and I remember back then they were claiming Sanjoneros, and they even had their own little internal shit. The Sanjoneros, the Sharksteros. You know, it was just, Sanjo's always been like that, humps. San Jose's different. So, I remember walking to the school area that day. It was very quiet. You know, a lot of the homeboys weren't laughing from a different compa. And most of these fucking Duvatos from the hoodsters, from the Eastside hoods, they were on two compas. They were on Ebbets and they were on Carson. Now, Carson was known to be a Sureño hall, meaning there was a lot of Southsiders from LA, from the LA area. They got all their homeboys to go to one fucking compa, right? So we knew the hoodsters were over there deep and they were holding it down. We were hearing a lot of people were going in the blinds. They were getting down. Because these vatos from Sanjo, like I said, they moved different, man. They were leading by example, straight up. So anyways, we're getting to the square this day and it's quiet. And the way square is, like I said, you all walk into this, you go through the metal detectors and you walk in and it's like a big square, all classes all around it. And a lot of homeboys before the bell ring would just all walk around. You see groups of vatos just mean mugging and shit like they was really in high school. No hyenas though, okay? We were losing. The wind wasn't blowing. But we were all mobbing around. And I noticed a group of Sanjo getting deeper and deeper, and all the homeboys were going, and I was like, damn, these vatos are set tripping, or they're too good for us, or what's going on? So I got at the homeboy Spanks from Modesto, like, hey, bro, what's cracking with these dudes? And he was like, I don't know, I can't call it like an alcoholic. He was like, bro, I think they're about to move on somebody. So I was like, keep through y'all, bro, because they might still be playing that Palmetto shit. Now, one thing about me, these are facts, right? Look at that. That's an XIV. Okay? I claim City Vida. Don't ask me how, don't ask me why. I just kicked it more with the homeboys from San Fran, the homeboys from Oakland, and the homeboys from Sanjo. That's how it always was for me, and the homeboys from Salas, who kind of weren't even caught up in that. I remember the Salad Bowl, they started doing, you know, some of them were Norteño, some of them were Famero, some of them were City Vida. They just did whatever they wanted to do. No one said shit about Salas. Just keep Salas' name out your mouth. That's how it was. So they kind of stepped back and just did their thing. You know, that was stronghold shit. Anyways, these vatos are walking around in this group, right? And I'm like, damn. They're going to get off on the homies. I automatically assumed they were tripping off us because every time they went by, they were like, Sanjo, right? And I was like, oh, shit, I'm City Vida too. Can I get in where I fit? I'm trying to fuck with the homies from Sanjo, right? And then it happened, right? We had a gym. And in that gym, man, a lot of the perros would go. There was a perro that was in there. He was like kind of like not a tier tender, but he worked simultaneously side by side with the teacher that was in there. It was like the teacher's pet, homie. You know, the teacher kept him. That was all. He had all 6 classes gym. How he graduated, I don't fucking know. He got A's and B's. But that vato was over there in the gym all the time. He was a big-ass bulldog. His name was Shy Boy, right, from Sanger. I believe that was his name. He had a little bit of juice just because of his size. He looked like a grown-ass man that just got out of Folsom. So he was over there with the fucking, the counselor or the teacher. And these vatos knew that. That's who they wanted to move on. they decided they were going to show it up in a hoodster fashion. Right now, it wasn't just homeboys from the Eastside hoods. They were the dominant group, but there was other homeboys from San Jose, Milpitas, Mountain View, Sunnyvale, that whole area, right? All Santa Clara County was in the mix. So they're walking and an alarm goes off. Boom. I guess 6 or 7 of them had rushed that Vato Shy Boy in the gym. They had got off. Boom, boom, boom. So they're handling their business. And all of a sudden, hey, it was crazy. Like Vietnam happened, homie. True stories and facts. I started seeing perros. There was like a grass area in the middle. Perros and fucking Sanjo boys running at each other, just getting off. Boom, 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 boom. Now, there had always been tension between Fresno and San Jose, even when Fresno was still norteños. It's because they were the 2 biggest city with the thickest groups. They had the most homeboys. So there was always lightweight tension with Sanjo and Sacra. Let's just put it like that. Sacramento moved differently. They had their own wiggle about them. And San Jose moved differently. They had their own wiggle about them. But they were all homies, you know. You could depend on them to be on the forefront, on the front lines. They started getting off. There was a vato named Blinky from Fresno, from the east side. Uglier than sin. Uglier than the bottom of my Nike 5, right? Just ugly. My Jordan 5. He was just butt ugly. But he had a little bit of hands. Just a little bit, right? And I remember he was getting off with one of the homeboys from the hoods, from Eastside hoods. That was the wrong thing to do, homie. You know what I mean? This vato got drugged from class to class. He did math, science, and social studies all that day. Boom, boom, boom. They were ramming his head to each door. I remember one teacher from the science building. He was a smooth character, too. He opened the door. He said, "The fucking Mexicans are fighting." And he closed the door, right? The white boy wanted no problem. He put on his country music, and he was getting his achy breaky heart on. It was ugly. You know, that day, the Eastside hoods made a move. They set their flag in stone that day. They planted it, homes. They let everybody know what time it was and how they were doing it. From that moment forward, man, they gained their respect. I'm not going to lie. The Perro Chatos handled their business to the best of their abilities, but they lost that day. They took that elbow, man. They weren't expecting it to happen. It happened out of the blue. We weren't expecting it to happen. I remember having a junta the next day, and a lot of the homeboys went to the Caja, which was Yuba Hall. Yuba Hall was packed, filled with Sanjo boys. All the Sanjo boys were in there. But there was a couple homeboys from, at this time I was on Mona Hall. So there was a couple homeboys from San Jose that stood back. They just didn't have school that day or weren't in the mix, right? And I remember like, damn, what happened, bro? And they were telling me at that time Sanjo was going to break off and do a Sanjo thing. And I was like, nah, bro, no, come back, Carlos, come back, right? We didn't need that. Eventually that didn't happen. But the Eastside Hoods became notorious that day within the youth authority system. Anybody that was there who did time with them in the 90s knew that was the group from Sanjo. That was the ones, right? They were hitters. All of them. Every single one of them. You know, and like I said, I know that they gravitated later on towards the streets. I kicked it with a couple of them, and they started rocking like that. And it could have been a hood that started from the streets. I don't know the historia there, so I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you guys. But I know when it came to YA, man, they were very dangerous in a group that handled their business. So another time, 2 vatos from the hoods come in, right? And they're on a compa called Tejon. Now, Tejon was a northern compa. There was like 30 or 40 homeboys there. So it was always lavish D. They were over there just chilling, busting spreads. Everything. I remember, I fucking want to go over there, eh? Right? I wanted to go over there, but I got no love. And I thought you knew it, man. You know how they do it, right? So your boys just stuck like Chuck over there on Mona on a J-Cal hall with a bunch of weirdos fucking licking themselves. Eventually, I got to Tioga, man. That's where I ran into that boy, John Diesel. He was over there like, hey, man, let me play some dominoes, man. And I was doing my thing, right? Now, he wasn't doing all that. He was just playing dominoes. But he was doing his thing. No disrespect. So, this vato from the hoods, man, he doesn't like one of the norteños there from Stockton, Chino, right? Chino was an asshole, man. I didn't like Chino, right? There's several Chinos. You probably don't know which one I'm talking about, but he was a little bit of a sucker fish, man. This vato liked to push up on homeboys, disrespect homeboys. He got into it with my homeboy Squeaks. Ever since then, I just didn't really care for him, right? He came from Chad, Holmes. How he came from Chad to Carlton, it's a mystery to me. But he got over there because you usually go the other way around, Holmes. You usually put in that work and go there. You don't put in work and come here. Pensa, tira. So anyways, I was skeptical. Call me paranoid, right? So this vato fucking, he's tripping, man. Shit. These vatos from hoods, they almost killed this guy. They massacred him, Humps. Butchered him, right? This was probably one of the first times that I seen red on red like this, where a vato they carved him up real nice, right? They did the Scarface, libertad, venga. Someone framed you, fuck, right? They framed him. And they put him, and again, that was another move that put the Eastside Hoods on the map. Let's just say When it comes to me and I think about the city of San Jose, I think about all the older vados and I respect them all. I respect the city of San Jose. There's some guys that don't like me and some guys I don't care for. But as far as San Jose goes and how they moved within the North cause, solid as fuck, right? When it comes to the Eastside hoods, I got to give them my respect. At least in the youth authority, they were the most dangerous group of Norteños there was. You know, there's always going to be dangerous groups. You think about 18th Street, you know, they were moved hard in the youth authority. Think about the 805 area. They moved very hard. Then you think about the East Side hoods. They moved harder than ever. With that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. I hope you enjoy these stories and that you get more of them, man. Tap in, like, subscribe, man. Go show Food and Felon some support. That's the homeboy right there, Fig. Go show his food channel some support, man. Young Thugger, man. Trap Island Records, and of course the Dubs and the Dub S channel. We all rock, man. It's one team. Go show love in the in-between. You know what it is. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive and struggle and struggle and strive for what I honestly and truly believe in. And that's doing what I does right here. Because, you know, the shit don't stop. For those of you that are hating, right? I wanted to address something, man. There's a lot of people getting in my DMs hating on the boy J Hands, Renegade Media. Man, respects and shout out, brother. I see you doing that, right? Remember I told you? I said, just keep pushing, bro. Just keep pushing. It's nothing but love and support. That's what I does, right? A lot of people think that there's some type of hate and envy. I don't know why. I don't know why they would even think that, man. I got that old boy behind the scenes, and it's all love. It's always been love from the moment that he started to the moment that it ends. It's always going to be that. So before people try to twist the narrative and act like, oh, Gunner, there's a new one in town. It's supposed to be, homie. You set the foundation so that way the flowers grow. You know what it is. Bang, bang. Respects, homies.